It's Flipperoo Tuesday because my monitors are once again flipped. So if the editing and cutting doesn't make sense today, it's because I can't really see what I'm doing. Thanks to the magic of Windows.
It looks okay.
I can't see myself, and I can see
you're roughly centered. It's fine.
Somewhere.
There you go.
Paul, summer's great right up until I remember that there's no such thing as a normal schedule in the summer, which kids in camp, which means like juggling when we can do. We do the podcast every day at 9 a.m. And it's like, Paul, can we do it at 8:30? He's like, no, we're going on a walk. I'm like, all right, we'll do 9:15. People are gonna be like, oh God, it's 15 minutes late. That's whatever. Like, you got to understand, I work on a schedule and a routine, and like you blow me off that, and then I get screwed up.
I have a very specific schedule in the morning. The afternoons are wide open. I don't want to do anything in the afternoon, but yeah, I don't mind. And I should, to be clear, I don't care. I mean, whatever. Right. We normally walk the dog at a very specific time every day. We actually did it 15 minutes earlier than usual today. Whatever. I probably would have just made it. I didn't really look at the time when we got back, but I think it takes about a little under 30 minutes to walk the dog. So
yeah, it's a good walk. But anyways, I had to drop the kid off at camp so that she doesn't bug me all day.
We we don't have kids. We do have kids, but we don't have, their schedules don't impact us on a daily basis, obviously. But I've mentioned this before. There's a thing in Pennsylvania I've never seen anywhere I've lived before, where to fix the roads, they lay down something called oil and chips, and eventually they'll just tear the whole thing out and redo it from scratch. But where I used to live, they would basically just patch potholes, and then there was some schedule that was very slow. For doing the roads. But here they've done the road surface since I've lived here at least 3 times.
Really?
Which is really impressive. And it's just, they just lay down this, the chips are not like potato chips, obviously. That would be hilarious. But I don't know what they are. They're like little slate, I don't know what they are. They're little chippy looking rock things. And then there's like a coating of oil. And it kind of sits there and it attaches itself for several days. And then they do like a slick surface on top of it, and it dries, and then the road looks perfect. Like seems to work, like it's nice, but it screws up everything. Like can't park, you can't leave your driveway, you can't, and like in our case, like we've lived here almost 5 years, and our trash and recycling get picked up at exactly the same time every day, but we missed it last week. We figured it was a vacation schedule. My wife called and complained, and they actually came and picked up our trash in a pickup truck. Which is kind of interesting. And then it happened again this morning. And our neighbor I contacted the township. She's like, what the hell's going on? And it's because of the road work, because they're doing the road work. So they actually bring the trucks in early. So like we're laying in bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you hear the truck drives around the circle and picks up the trash from the one house that put it out last night or whatever. Everyone else is on text, like freaking out, So that's our version of your kid thing. It's like just domestic stupidity,
I got nothing.
I know. The point is just schedule. That's why I think we walked the dog earlier than usual, because we were up earlier than usual. And I think we just kind of like, whatever.
Anyways, Microsoft, somewhat surprisingly, now everybody's getting tabs. Looks like maybe 22H2 is.
Tell me, I'm desperate for clarity on this.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Well, just let me tell you what I think the world is right now, and just tell me if this is correct. Like, we have an insider program that is awful, and there are 3 channels. These 3 channels, or whatever channels they used to have, or rings they used to have, used to be attached or whatever to a specific Windows version.
Yep.
They aren't anymore for the most part. So if you look at the descriptions, it's like dev is what I would call experimental, right?
Yep.
Like we're going to experiment with new features. They may or may not make it into any version of Windows. These things are not tied to any specific version of Windows. We're just throwing them out there. They do A/B testing, which I think is abhorrent and wrong.
Yep.
I've made that case so many times. I'm tired of talking about it. There is no argument you can make that makes it make sense. It's wrong. It's just wrong. But whatever, they do that. So then there's like a beta channel, and the beta channel is not specifically tied to the next version of Windows, but I think it's widely understood that if a feature makes it to the beta channel, it's past some bar, and it's probably going to be in the next version of Windows.
Yeah.
Is that probably?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just to sidetrack for a bit, we know that the beta channel build recently kind of ground to a halt, and they pushed it over the release channel. The release preview channel, which is the third of those channels. And there was documentation on Microsoft's website that indicated that that build was the final build of Windows 11 22H2. So there, we read tea leaves and things, but in this case, it was very explicit. Like Microsoft internally has admitted the thing they'd hate to say publicly, which is that this is the build. And then the release preview, just to quickly get into that, is typically servicing the current version, or had been, of Windows 10 or 11 with mostly app updates, although now they have all these other ways of updating the system, so I suppose anything could go through there. But it really is not, because beta and release preview are on the same build now for Windows 11. That build is the next version of Windows 11. It's not the current version. So really, you just have things that are ever more close to being the next version of Windows. Like they're really none of them. Is that correct? I mean, none of them really indicate anything.
How can any sane person understand what is going on?
Right. I just babbled through it, and I'm like, even as I say it, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing: if you thought that made sense, or if you thought it made no sense, whatever. Here's like the wrench flying from outer space, landing right in your tire of your bike. And I don't know if you saw how they implemented that, or like this. They didn't like normally when you're in the Insider program and you get a new build, you get like a build, like it's a big build. It takes a long time to install. You have to reboot the computer, blah, blah, whatever. This thing arrived as a cumulative update that incremented the minor part of the build number. So I think it's like 22,261, if I'm not mistaken. Point, I don't know, maybe 160, maybe in this case, it doesn't matter. They put it out in the beta channel, which, like what, like, what does this even, like, does that mean? Like, does it literally mean it's going to be in 22H2? Does it mean it probably is going to be in 22H2?
Here's the brilliance of all this, Paul, throughout. Here's the brilliance of all this. They just told us, and I even think even in the business channel, they said, hey, it's time to start testing. And then here comes the meteor of change that, now granted, I'm fully transparent that I work for a company that does abnormal things to Windows. But
apparently Microsoft does too.
Yeah, apparently. And like we are the heart of like, hey, test your stuff before we ship, because we are aware that we tinker kind of below the tea leaves. But then we're prepared for what they said was 22H2. And then all of a sudden they come in and change File Explorer. And let me tell you, Paul, throughout, File Explorer is a dumpster fire of stability. And so when they
doesn't surprise me.
When they add these tabs in there, it's like, Jesus Christ. Now we've got, because candidly, we get accused, Stardock gets accused, our apps get accused of crashing File Explorer way, way, way more than is our actual own doing. Like I would say like 90+% of the accusation is like, you guys crashed my File Explorer. It's not us, because we can typically tell.
I feel like
it's
File
like,
Explorer is a microcosm for what Windows 11 is,
yeah,
which is
that's
this.
Probably.
Like Windows 11 is Windows 10.
Yep.
But they stripped off the top level UI. They started over from scratch, and they created a new taskbar and a new start menu. And you can make arguments for why they might have wanted to do this, but they decided to ship that stuff way early. Lots of missing features. But File Explorer in Windows 11 is kind of the same thing, except to File Explorer. Like it's clearly the Windows 11 File Explorer. Windows 10 File Explorer. Stripped off the front of it, put on what looks like to me a WinUI UI on top of it. They keep frigging with the navigation pane, which is bizarre. Like literally, there's the version from Windows 11. There's the version that's in 22H2 today. And now there's a new version that comes as part of this tabs update where they frigged with it yet again. And this is like top level navigation stuff. Like this is the links that are in the navigation pane, but it's also the default views that you can see that you can configure. Like they've renamed things twice now. It's it shows a lack of foresight. This is such a key UI.
Yeah.
It's not something you frig with at the last second on V2. Like you have a clear vision for what V2 is. You deliver that in V2, and then maybe you have a clear vision for what V3 is. That's next October. It's not this October. Like they have in the span of 2 or 3 months now frigged with it twice. like a major version arrived with Windows 11 last year, and now this year we've already seen 2 versions. Like, and I'm not even talking about tabs. I'm just talking about navigation. Like, I don't understand. Like, I just don't, I don't know how to explain this. I don't understand how unprofessional this is.
Well, it's for such a
crazy
core product to the company, for such a core thing. The lack of a consistent and understandable like path from like here's the experimental orb that we're playing with to this is coming to every PC in the enterprise. Like that pathway is very diluted and polluted at this point that people, like specifically myself, don't quite understand when we can expect we have to support features.
Off the top of my head, I could be off a day or two on this. I'm pretty sure this is correct. I'm just saying this off the top of my head. Today is June 14th.
Yep.
This build arrived yesterday, which never happens, by the way. Like it's on a Monday. But anyway, they delivered this thing on Monday. They added tabs to File Explorer for some people because, again, A/B testing, whatever. This feature first arrived in the dev channel on June 9th, I think. That's not that many days ago. It was like 4 days before it shipped to beta. So I've complained in the past that Windows 11 was announced in July, shipped, well, it was finalized in August, right, or September at the latest. 3 months of testing, shipped out to the world in horribly incomplete form. Whatever. They have now tested a feature with a subset of users for 4 days before just spitting it out into beta. And by the way, I'd have to go look, but I wouldn't. I mean, I think we can all probably, well, I'd have to look to be sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if this thing was A/B tested in dev. I don't remember, which means some people in beta could be getting it before people in dev. And what the no, like seriously, like I don't, it's hard. This is, dude, my entire career has been based around this product. Like watching them do this to Windows is one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with professionally. I've certainly had bigger personal issues or whatever, but like there are these horrible big things that happen to Windows, like Longhorn, right? As horrible as that was, 6 years that went by, all the false starts, all the redos. You know, the one thing you can say, those guys really gave a crap. They were trying really hard to make this thing awesome. That's what they were trying to do. They were not trying to screw it up. Even Windows 8, I don't agree with what they did, but someone, an idiot, but someone had this vision for this touch-first, mobile-first future. Windows needed to be on that train, acted decisively, within 3 years, shipped this piece of crap, whatever, this did it, and not with any malicious forethought other than for everyone he worked with that wasn't on the Windows team, but not malicious toward users particularly, or not purposely, whatever, but misguided. But you got the sense that that guy and that team was trying, like they cared. These people, it's complete ambivalence. You just present common sense and facts, and they're like, we did a pretty thing. Look how pretty the taskbar is. It's pretty. You're like, okay. But, right? I mean, isn't, like, in some ways, ambivalence is worse, right?
Yeah.
Like the lack of caring, the lack of detail orientation, which they claim is so important to them. It makes me sad. Like it's not, no one can communicate effectively what they're doing, let alone why they're doing it. It has never happened. This thing was spit. Did you look at the post? It was like,
yeah, it was just like, here it is. Like everybody, congrats.
It makes sense, right? We're just doing this. Yeah. Good.
It's good enough.
Yeah, we didn't put all these ways to update into Windows, not to update Windows all the time.
Now,
even though I don't remember we told you it was once a year.
Paul,
just kidding.
Someone's going to complain. They're going to be like, well, they're adding features to Windows. You're upset. That's not the point. The point here is that if they're willing to do this to File Explorer, they're willing to just slam the stuff in anywhere and not really care about the actual, like, what's going on or communication or stability or anything else. Because File Explorer is a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, I think tabs in File Explorer is a great idea. I will never personally use it. That is not the point. Objectively, I can look at this thing and say, yes. And I knee jerk, anything that is productivity focused as a feature in Windows to me is probably going to be okay. Like I like to see that stuff. I don't like to see superfluous nonsense like search highlights, which is ridiculous. I don't like to see outright ads and crapware and all that terrible stuff. But you know, whatever, these Snap features, like I don't use Snap. But I look at this stuff and I think there you go. Great. Yep. Like there are people that will use this. This will improve people's day-to-day productivity experience. Never going to complain about that. But you know what? You got to actually test it. You know, I don't understand. I don't understand anything, Brad. I don't understand how they're doing it, why they're doing it. There's no one has stepped up to say this is what's happening. How about a roadmap? Is that too much to ask? What can we expect?
Maybe,
and when?
Maybe we could call my people on the timeline.
I'm just going to sit here after this is over and complain to myself for 30 more minutes.